In this video, we are going to solve another paper 0625 variant 23 of May June 2025. Okay, it's a paper 2 of IGCSE. Let's start with the first question. Which quantity can be measured using a ruler? Pretty easy question. You can use the distance traveled by a toy train in 1 second. So distance can be made by a ruler. And second question, a car is driven from one town to another down along a road that is not straight. The driver of the car divides the total distance traveled by the total time. Which quantity does the driver calculate? So, total distance over total time, that gives you average speed. It's option B. And the third question, which quantity can be determined from the area under speed time graph? It's pretty easy. Distance can be calculated. Okay, question 4. Students are asked for a statement about the weight of the object. Three of the statements are listed. First is the weight is the quantity of matter in the object. No, quantity of matter is the mass, not the weight. The weight is the effect of gravitational force on the object. It seems good. The weight is the force of attraction between the object and the earth. This is correct. So it's option 2 and 3 only. D. In the question 5, sample of three different liquids have equal masses. Okay, the volume of the sample are these 190, 200, and this. The liquids are poured into a large measuring cylinder, and the liquid form three separate layers because they do not mix. What are the reading on the measuring? Okay, they are not mixing. It's mean they have a different density, and for density, we know density is mass divided by volume. So as mass is constant, you can say density is inversely proportional with the volume. So the one with the higher density will be at the bottom and the one with the lower density will be at the top. So I can say, if you see, the lowest volume will have the highest density. This is the more dense, most dense, you can say. Then this will be, and then this will be. So if I make a beaker, there will be a liquid 190 reading, there will be, then there is from this point to this point it will be 200, but the reading on this thing will be 190 plus 200, that is equals to 390, and then there will be another liquid above it, that is 235. Okay, so what are the readings on the measuring cylinder of the two boundaries? So one boundary is this, one boundary is this, the reading is 390 and 190. So it's option A, that is correct. In the next question, a car move along a level road. The diagram shows all the horizontal forces acting on the car. Which statement is correct? Okay, if you see these two forces, they're in the same direction. So 800 plus 500 will give you 1300. And this is 2000. So resultant force will be 2000 minus 1300. That is 700. So resultant force is in this direction. So this thing will be accelerating because resultant force is directly proportional to the acceleration. So this thing will be speeding up. Okay, that's option B, that is correct. And the next question, a car is traveling around a circular track at a constant speed. In which direction is the resultant force? Whenever the object is moving in a circle, resultant force will always be towards the center of the circle. A railway truck of mass 8,000 kg move with a velocity of 1 meter per second. Let's make a truck here. Let's suppose this is a big truck. Okay, don't seems like truck, but suppose this is a truck. Its mass is 8,000 kg and it's moving with a speed of 1 meter per second. And okay, to the right, it collide with a railway truck of mass 12,000 kg moving at a 2 meter to the left. Okay, so there is another truck. Okay, Its mass is 12,000 and it's moving towards the left side. Its speed is 2 meter per second. The two trucks become joined to each other after the cooling and they move together. What are the velocities of the two trucks after cooling? Okay. So this is from the conservation of momentum. Total initial momentum should be equals to total final momentum. Initial momentum is m1 u1 plus m2 u2, that is equals to m1 v1 plus m2 v2. That is the final momentum. Okay, as the velocity is a vector quantity, if you are taking this velocity, this is u1, as positive, then this u2 will be taken as negative because they are in opposite direction. Okay, and we know v1 and v2 are same, you can simply call them v. So this thing will change into, and you can m1 plus m2, and v can be taken as common. It will be like this. So let's put the values. Mass is m1 is 8,000 into u is 1 plus m2 is 12,000 multiplied by minus 2 is equals to 8,000 plus 12,000 multiplied by v. We have to find v, so I'm going to solve it here. V will be equals to, when you do the calculation, it will be 8,000 into 1 is 8,000, 12,000 multiplied by 2 is 24, and there will come a negative sign, and 20,000, this thing will give you 20,000, and it will go on that side, so it will be divided, so it will be 20,000, so it will give you 0.8 and negative, and we know negative velocity is on the left side, so it's option B that is correct. 0.8 towards the left side. Okay. In the question 9, a stone is dropped from a bridge which is 22-meter above a river. What is the speed of the stone when it hits the ground? Okay, so let's suppose this is a bridge and there is a river. When it start moving from this bridge towards downward side, what it will do, it's when moving down, it's lose gravitational potential energy, and that he will gain kinetic energy. When he reaches the ground, all of the Gp will be converted into the kinetic energy. So I can write as loss of gain of kinetic energy is equals to loss of potential energy. So this m can be cancelled out with this m. V square is equals to 2gh. Okay, so v square is 2, g is 9.8, and h is 22. So this will give you 431, sorry, 431.2, but this is v square, you have to take square root on both sides to get the v. So v will be equals to 20.76 meter per second. Okay. In question 9, which row describe the particle structure of a gas? So it's particle structure of gas, they are far apart and they are randomly moving, they are not vibrating. Okay, it's option D. Question 11, the particle of a gas in a container of fixed volume gain energy in the kinetic store. Which effect does this have on the gas? So when they are gaining the kinetic energy, they will increase the pressure because they will collide more, and why they are gaining kinetic energy, because they have increased the temperature. So it's option A. Okay, gas particle exert a pressure when they collide with the walls of the container. Which statement about the gas particles is correct? They experience a change in force which result in pressure equals to the momentum into area. That is totally incorrect. They experience a change in force which result in pressure equals to, that is wrong. They don't experience a change in force, they experience a change in momentum, because every time they are colliding with the wall, their velocity is changing. Velocity is a vector quantity, right? So they change the direction, velocity will change, that change the momentum. So it's option D that is correct, because we know force is rate of change of momentum and pressure is force over area. Okay, so they are correct. And 13, a solid change into a liquid, which term describe this change in state? It is called melting. Question 14, the diagram shows some of the apparatus used to determine the specific heat capacity. Which additional piece of apparatus are required to find? Okay, so first you need to know the formula. C is equals to E divided by M delta theta. Delta theta is changing temperature, E is energy, and M is the mass. But you can't find the energy directly. Energy for the electrical circuit is VIT. So this will be VIT divided by M delta theta. For V you need voltmeter, for I you need ammeter, for T you need stopwatch, for M you need balance, and for delta theta you need thermometer. So if you see in the diagram, thermometer is present, ammeter is present. So what we need? We need voltmeter, we need watch, we need balance. So it's option A. In question 15, four different surfaces are at the same high temperature. Which surface emit thermal radiation at the slowest rate? Okay, so for the slowest rate, good absorbers are the good emitter. We know black is the good absorber and good emitter. So we will choose white, and we will choose shiny. Shinies are also bad emitters, and the surface with a bigger surface area, because it will emit more. Sorry, we have to choose the least slowest, so we will choose the smaller surface area. Okay, so it's option C that is correct. An object has a constant temperature. Which statement is correct? Constant temperature mean it is in thermal equilibrium. Okay, so it's option B that is correct. The rate at which the object receives energy is equals to it transfers the energy. Okay. In question 17, which row correctly describe the light wave? Lights are transversal, and in transversal particle move perpendicular. It's option D that is correct. In question 18, a narrow beam of light consists of two waves of different wavelengths. The beam of light hit a sharp edge. Which effect will be seen beyond the sharp edge? Okay, when the wave hit the sharp edge, it will spread. That phenomena is called diffraction. Okay, so and diffraction is directly proportional to the wavelength. So it is C that is correct. 19, an object is placed 30 centimeter in front of a plane mirror. Which statement describes the image of the object? Okay, whenever image in the mirror is always virtual, same size, same distance from, same distance as the object is from the mirror. Okay, so it's option B that is correct. Okay. So in question 20, which statement about total internal reflection at a glass air boundary is correct? Okay, so glass air boundary, the angle of incidence inside must be equals to the critical angle. It's not mandatory. The angle of incidence inside the glass must be less than the critical angle, not mandatory. The critical angle is proportional to the refractive index of the glass. This is also not mandatory. The speed of light in glass must be less than the speed of light in air. Yes, because glass is a dense medium. Whenever light move into a dense medium, it will slow down. Its wavelength also decrease. In question 21, what is the speed of radio wave in a vacuum and what is the speed of the gamma rays in a vacuum? Both this is also electromagnetic wave and this is also electromagnetic wave. All the electromagnetic wave have a same speed in a vacuum. So it's option C that is correct. In question 22, a student make a sound in front of a large wall. She hear an echo at a time t after making the sound. The speed of sound is v. Which expression is used to calculate the distance between the student and the wall? Let's suppose there is a student there is a wall. So the sound will travel from student to the wall and then it will come back. So it is covering double the distance, but what you need a one side distance. So distance covered divided by 2 will give you the separation between the person and the wall. So distance we know is speed into time, and for you to find the separation you have to divide this thing by 2. So d no d c is the answer. V into t divided by 2. In question 23, what is a compression? Compression is a point in a longitudinal wave where the particle of the medium are closer together, and rarefaction is where the particles are far apart. There is no compression in transversal waves. Which row describe the magnetic field around a weak magnet? Okay, magnetic field around a weak magnet. First, magnetic field always move from north to south. So you have to choose between A and B, and as it is a weak, so the spacing should be far apart. So it's option B. 25, 0.6 meter length of resistance. Why will the diameter of this as a resistance? Achha, this is the length L1, this is the diameter D1, and you have the resistance R1. When the diameter is changed to this, it's called D2 and has a resistance R2. Resistance is same. What is the length of the second piece of the wire? Okay, so as we know, resistance is inversely proportional to diameter square. Okay, if you compare D2 and D1, so you will see how you can compare them. You can divide them, D2 divided by D1, that is 0.50 divided by 0.25, that will give you 2. What it's mean? It's mean D2 is 2 times of D1. So if you double diameter, resistance R will be change quarter, because you have to take the square of whatever you are doing with the diameter. Okay, so to keep the R same, you have to increase length 4 times, because we know R is directly proportional with the length. When you increase the length 4 times, this effect will be cancelled out. So length is 0.60 multiplied by 4, that will give you 2.4. That is option D. In question 26, a circuit contains a cell with electromotive force 2 watt. The current in the circuit is 2 ampere. How much energy is transferred in 2 minutes? Energy is voltage into current into time. You have to convert this thing into the second. 2.0 into 60, that will be second. Voltage is 2, current is 2, and this is 2 into 60. So this thing will give you 480 joules. Option D. In question 27, what is the electromotive force of a cell? It is option B, the energy supplied per unit charge. 4 lamps and 4 switches are connected to a power supply as shown. When all the switches are closed, all the lamps are lit. When one of the switches then opened, only one lamp goes out. Which switch is opened? Okay, so let's see them one by one. If you open A, all of the switch will be off because the current will no longer have any path to travel. Same is for the B, all the switch will be off. If you disconnect D, if you open the D, this will be off and this will also be off. Okay, and if you disconnect, if you open this switch, only this will be disconnected. The current will flow like this will be a path of the current. Okay, so only one lamp goes out, so it's option C that is correct. In which main electric wire are the fuse and the switch placed? Fuse and switch both are placed in live wire. It's option B that is correct. In question 30, the diagram shows a wire moving downward in a magnetic field between the two magnetic poles. There is an induced current. So whenever there is an induced current, it is generator effect. Okay, in the wire, because of the movement, the induced current produces a force on the wire. In which direction is this force? Okay, So you are moving a wire in this thing, you have to use the right hand rule. And when you use the right hand rule, you will get option A. In question 31, when generator shown rotates, there is an alternative EMF across the resistor between P and Q. Diagram 1 shows the position of the coil at T. Okay, so this is the diagram 1. The coil rotates clockwise. Time T1, the coil position horizontally. You have to tell as shown in the diagram. The graph shows the output of EMF between the point P and Q plotted against the time. Which point shows the EMF at time T1? Okay, if this is the starting time, there we have. And whenever the coil is vertical, the EMF is 0. And when it is horizontal, you will have a maximum EMF. Okay, so this will be the option simply because this is the first peak. What is the purpose of split ring commutator in an electric motor? Its purpose is to ensure that the turning effect on the motor stays in the same direction all the time. 33 is a beta particle has less mass than the alpha, but the speed of the beta particle emitted during radiative decay is approximately 20 times greater than the speed of the alpha particle. This statement correctly compare properties of these two particles. Okay, alpha are less penetrating because they have less kinetic energy. No, that is wrong. They have more kinetic energy, but they are less penetrating. That was true. Alpha particles are more penetrating. That is wrong. Alpha particles are less ionizing. That is wrong. Alpha particles are more ionizing because they have yes, they are more ionizing because they have more kinetic energy. Option 34, which observation provide evidence for the nuclear atom? So it was the scattering experiment by the alpha particle. 35, which effect on a living thing is not caused by ionizing radiation? It's the infection. Okay, so ionizing radiation can cause a cancer, cell death, and mutation. Okay, 36, isotope X is radioactive. Which statement about X must be correct? Okay, a nucleus of X is unstable. That is correct. X emit alpha, beta, gamma. That we are not sure. If something is radioactive, they can emit all the radiations. Okay, so it's totally random process. An experiment is done to measure the radiation from a radioactive source. The source has a half-life of this. So you have half-life. The source is placed close to the detector that is connected to a counter. The average background radiation, you have background radiation at the start of the experiment, the count rate recorded is this. What is the count rate 10 minutes later? Okay, after one half-life. So you have to tell count rate after one half-life. First, you have to find the corrected count rate, that is radiation coming from the source. So for that thing, you have to 1000 is the reading, you have to subtract the background radiation, that is 20, so you will get 980. That is the reading of the source. Okay, so after one half-life, this 980 will remain half of the original value, so that will give you 490. Okay, so this is the radiation left from the source, but when the detector is reading, detector will read this 490 plus it will also read 20 count rate after one half-life as well, because that is a background radiation. It will give you 510. So that is option C. In question 38, in which direction does the sun appear to move every day when viewed from the earth? It's option A. A distant galaxy is moving away from a Milky Way at this speed. What is the approximate distance between the Milky Way? Okay, whenever they talk about the expansion of the universe, you have to use the Hubble formula, Hubble constant relation. H naught is equals to V over D. You have to find D, so D is V over H naught. Put the values 44003 zeros, and H naught is 2.210 raised to power minus 18. You have to memorize this value. Okay, so that will give you 2 into 10 raised to power 24 meters. It's option C. In question 40, the orbit of a Mercury is closer to the Sun as compared to the Earth. How does the value of the gravitational field strength of the Sun to the Mercury and orbital speed? The one that is close to the Sun will face the more gravitational field, and the one that is close will have a higher speed. When you move away, the speed will reduce. So it's option A that is correct. So see you in the next video with the next paper.